Hey guys, what's going on? Dino here, and in today's video it's the long-awaited 9.1 Feral Druid PvE guide. This is actually a continuation from my 9.0.2 Feral Druid guide that I made, so yeah, this is going to be a short and sweet updated version regarding this. Also, as a quick disclaimer, I am in no way the best Feral Druid player, and I never have claimed to be. This is just my views on Feral and kind of what I think is the best way to go from it. I also have some information from the Feral Dreamweave Discord as well. I speak to them quite a decent bit, and I stock in there quite a lot too to get some of my information. But yeah, let's get straight into it. Regarding your covenant, this hasn't changed. You're going to be Night Fae. Night Fae's the best. It's still going to be the best. Convoke is just too strong for what it does, as well as the Soulbinds and Conduits provided. Necro dot spec can see some play. Very niche though. If you like that dot spec, go Necro. It does work. You can go a completely different build for it. Soulbinds, we're going to be using Naya in her talent tree. Naya, as I say, it's just too strong. This Grove Invigoration on top of Bonded Hearts combination is just it's disgustingly strong. When you use Convoke, you get 16 stacks of Grove Invigoration, which gives you 425 Mastery. If you get a Bonded Hearts proc, that then goes up to 650 odd Mastery, which becomes insane amount of burst. Well, let's look at my stats here. 600 mastery, that's 37% mastery. It would take me to 90%, which is pretty filthy. Okay, conduits. Conduits are going to be in these slots for a reason, and I'll explain the reason why later on. But this is the way you're going to have them. You're going to have Conflux of Elements in the first slot, Born Anew in the second slot, Well-Honed Instincts in the third slot. Fourth slot respectively is going to be Innate Resolve, then Carnivorous Instinct. The fifth slot is going to be Taste for Blood, and the sixth slot is going to be Front of the Pack if you choose Survivor's Rally, or Toughest Bark if you choose Cold Shot. These two are dependent on what you want. If you want a little bit more move speed, or if you want a little bit more self-healing, if you drop below your health, then choose either or. The reason they go in this order is because of this renown. Once you get to 63 renown, Naya will actually upgrade the first row of conduits. They become what the game's calling enhanced. Now, an enhanced conduit, from my understanding on the PTR, is it will jump up in item level. So for instance, right now I have a 226 Conflux of Elements. Once this becomes enhanced, I believe it will then fire up to a 239 or possibly even a 252 conduit, which is nuts. That's just free play power just for playing the game and getting the renown. But we won't have this information until at least next week, when we can at least get when we can at least get to 61 and we can test it with Dreamweaver and we kind of see what happens there. But yeah, regarding Naya's Tool's Burrs and a third Potency, so we either go for Carnivorous Instinct or Naya's Tool Burrs, it's situational. Naya's Tool Burrs is phenomenal in single target if the boss doesn't move. So say for instance you're fighting the Tag, a boss that doesn't really move that much, you know, it's always in the middle of the room. Naya's Tool Burrs, brilliant. If you're fighting a boss like Soul Render, Naya's Tool Burrs is good some points, but then you have to move because of the dance, you have to move because of the ads. You're probably going to stick off with Carnivorous Instincts. So use it situationally. I particularly just run Carnivorous Instinct purely because I don't like to chop and change depending on a fight. I'm not that much of a min-maxer, but some of you might be, so that is just my 2 cents on that. I don't think there's anything else to really discuss regarding Conduits. Just stick with Naya. The other two aren't that great. Karan has play in Mythic Plus if you can. Actually, I've not used her in a while. If you can maximize First Strike and Wild Hunt Stratagem, you can be potent in Mythic Plus. I just stick with Naya. Regarding our gear, our stat priority and our legendary, we want crit. Crit is our baby. Next after that we want mastery. So our 2 best stats are going to be crit and mastery, and ideally you want to get them in this form. Heavy crit, decent mastery, or in this case low crit, heavy mastery. If you cannot get crit and mastery, the next 2 best is going to be your crit and haste gear, like these two. If you can't get crit and haste, you're going to want crit verse. If by some unlikely miracle you can't get that, like this, and you get verse mastery, that's going to be your next one. Unless it's in a domination socket slot. Now these slots occupy the helm, the shoulder, the chest, the gloves and the boots. There's also 2 available pieces of gear per slot. So for instance, I have the chest from the eye, which is the awful one, which is haste verse. Ideally, I want the one from Soulbinds, which is Crit Mastery. Unfortunately, I've not been lucky enough to get it, but you know. Also, again, for Fate Scribe, he has the Crit Haste Helm. I unfortunately have the Haste for his helm. So yeah, there's always going to be a better option available. There's always going to be a good piece and a bad piece. Just RNG dependent on what one you get from the vault, from the raid. It's just the way the game's designed at the moment, unfortunately. At least they can be traded though, that's one good positive. I'll talk more into the set bonuses and the chosen gems in a moment. First of all, we're just going to continuation on from gear and legendary. So for regarding our gear continuation, trinkets wise, we're no longer using the quantum. We actually use 2 passive trinkets right now, and the best passive trinkets in the game are actually the Titanic Ocular Gland, which provides massive agility passively, as well as 124 crit, which ends up being about 3.5%. Next trinket, Decanter, 30% crit just passively, and when you do crit you gain a massive spike in agility for 15 seconds. 270 agility for 15 seconds is crazy. This procs loads, by the way. I've seen it proc for about 40 seconds once on a fight. Then the next trinket after that is going to be the File. This drops from Plaguefall, or if you get it from your weekly vault. Counter is from Soul Render, and Titanic Ocular Gland is from the Eye. So those are the 3 trinkets you want to get. The reason we're using those 3 passive trinkets is because of this bad boy, Jotungeirr, the Destiny's Call. This trinket, when used, as you'll see here, I've got an unused trinket. So the reason we're not using Quantum is because when we use it on a 3-minute cooldown, it puts the other trinkets on cooldown. So you want to use this every time with your Berserk, as they're both on a 3-minute cooldown and they're both off the global cooldown. And I'll get more into macros and that later on, but that is the reason why we use this and 2 passives, so we can have Jotungeirr active during our burst and 2 passive trinkets on top of that. Regarding your legendary, you want to use this legendary, I would say Leggings of Celestial Spirits. The reason why we use this legendary is it puts our Convoke onto a 1-minute cooldown, and we use 3 less spells, so it becomes a 12 spell ability over 3 seconds, but it goes on to a 1-minute cooldown, which means we have more mini burst available. It also provides us with those lovely Grove Invigoration stacks, which is up for pretty much 50% uptime instead of the usual 25% uptime. If you are a true min-maxer though, on pure single target like what you would use with Burrs, you can use the Draw Up Deep Focus. This will enhance your dots for your Moonfire, your Rake and your Rip by 40%. This is obviously it's very minimal DPS increase. It's entirely up to you which way you want to go. Or if you're using a dedicated group for Mythic Plus and you pull quite a lot, Circle of Life and Death is going to be, it will outperform Celestial Spirits just marginally because of the dots are constantly ticking, whereas this is only up every minute. Ideally though, I would probably just make Celestial Spirits and you can forget about the others unless you're a true min-maxer. Celestial Spirits in all content has been performing exceptionally well for me personally, and I think it has been doing for others as well. I'm sure there's going to be someone in the comments who'll have something to say on it, but yeah, that is what I would do legendary wise, and that is my personal opinion on the legendary. So for those domination items, these again, as I say, they occupy the helm, shoulder, chest, gloves and boots. In terms of their set bonuses, so the unholy bonus is from the helm, the frost bonus is from the shoulders, and the blood bonus is from the chest. In terms of raw DPS, they're all pretty much in line with each other. Each bonus does something special within itself. So for instance, the frost bonus is crit dependent, so the more crits you do, the more it's going to more damage it will do, as well as a bigger shield for you. It actually provides great survivability, so if you feel like you're dying quite a lot but your damage is fine, swap to the frost. This is obviously if you have all the gems. I'll show the gems in a minute as well. I'll put them on screen actually, so all the gems will be on screen. But I would use the frost one if you're struggling to survive on some fights and you need that extra survivability. The blood is just a click and forget. You hit the boss once and it puts a dot on them and you get healed from it. And the unholy one is a stacking agility buff that once you're at 15 stacks, the agility then becomes empowered. This is great if you can actually time it with your cooldowns and stuff like that for a massive burst. So for instance, if you have 14 stacks and you're tracking it and you have got Convoke coming in 4 or 5 seconds, or it Convoke is up, you would just say to yourself, okay, I'm going to hold off until I get a proc, then you would Convoke. I probably wouldn't wait longer than 10 seconds, otherwise you might miss out on another Convoke cast during a fight. So yeah, use that accordingly. But I feel like Unholy is better for me. That's purely because I've upgraded it first before the others got buffed. The best gems that you are going, the best domination gems, sorry, that you're going to use for your character will be the 3 damaging ones that I have on screen for you just now, and also the 2 relating to those corresponding colours. So the other 2 frost ones, which is like an absorb shield on you and absorb shield when you crit, the blood ones where you increase more healing, receive more healing, and you also have a bit more leech, and the unholy ones where you move a little bit quicker and you have these pulsing AoE damage effect that drains their health. So yeah, those will be the best gems. It all depends on the 3 damage ones you choose, and then the bonus that you go along with it. So there's the 3 main ones on the left hand side of the screen, which you can see now, and then there's also the 2 sub ones which will go along with it depending on the set bonus. But you'll always have the ones on the left hand side as your main ones, if you have 5 pieces of domination gear available to you. For talents, this is going to be your talent setup for Mythic Plus. The only change you might make in this talent setup is you might swap Heart of the Wild for Mass Entanglement. Other than that, you would swap these 2. You swap Primal Wrath for Brutal Slash. This would be purely for raiding. You never want to use Primal Wrath in raids. There's only maybe 1 fight usable on it, and that's Kel'Thuzad. Other than that, this is going to be your talent setup for pretty much all content, outdoor world and all that as well. Okay, for your consumables, your enchants and your gems, they're all going to be on screen now. This is what you'll be using to pretty much do all your content. The only difference is your food. You might swap for your spines, souffle and fries for the stat feast, which I'll have both of them on the screen. The stat feast was probably what you use for raiding, and the souffle and fries is what you'll use for Mythic Plus. Other than that, the only difference is you might also use a Vantage Rune for your raiding, depending on the content you are doing. So yeah, that is the consumables. Take them all on screen. The left hand side will be consumables, the right hand side is going to be enchant and gems. Yeah, perfect. Alright guys, for your single target rotation, this is how it's going to look. First of all, we start from stealth. We're going to get behind the target, and then from there what we'll do is we are going to open up with a Rake, Thrash, Brutal Slash, Berserk, Weapon. Then you normally use a potion, then we're going to Tiger's Fury, Rip. This will proc Blood Talons on the first 3 hits. It will then also, obviously Berserk and our Weapon, Tiger's Fury as well. So Blood Talons and Tiger's Fury will then snapshot the Rip effect, and then we're going to just keep extending it with the Sabertooth talent here. I'll show you what it all looks in a fast sense in a moment. From after that, what we do is we're just going to shred, bite, shred, bite. You'll be able to see it all here. My rotation is going to be underneath my Blood Talons bar and above my talents, my Soulbinds, my Conduits. So if you have a look down there, if you're struggling, and it goes from right to left. So I'm going to do it all fast. I probably won't be able to speak whilst I'm doing it, as it's quite complex, but I'll try and do it. So it goes Rake, Thrash, Brutal Slash, Berserk, Weapon, Tiger's Fury, Rip, Convoke right after this, and then bite 5 combo points, shred, bite, shred, bite, shred. We're going to wait for the bite. I see mine rake's falling off here. We're going to bite, we're then going to rake, we got a proc, we're going to thrash, we're going to Brutal Slash to get Blood Talons here, and then we're going to bite, shred, bite. And as you can see here, that's the rotation. Done decent enough burst there, so we'll stop there. Normally you would weave in a potion. As soon as you press your Berserk Tiger's Fury, that is when you want a potion in that window. And that is pretty much the single target rotation. After that, all you're doing is you're obviously going to you're maintaining your dots, you're refreshing your Blood Talons, and you're keeping your Tiger's Fury for your bites. You're going to Brutal Slash when you're not shredding. Right here I've got the counter and a Tiger's Fury and a Blood Talons. Big bite, 27k. To refresh your Blood Talons, you're always going to either do Rake, Thrash, Brutal Slash. That's probably the easiest way. Or you might have to weave in a shred. It all depends on what's going on in your rotation. So right now I could just Thrash, that'll give me another Blood Talons. And Convoke here again. Perfect. Very simple. You just need to make sure you're refreshing. Even if you have 1 stack of Blood Talons and you're refreshing it to 2, that is absolutely fine. Don't worry about refreshing it if you have 1 stack. That it is absolutely fine. You don't feel like you have to use both stacks every single time. It's not reliant on that. You just need to make sure that you have at least a stack available to empower your initial rip, as well as to empower a couple of your bites in your Berserk window. Outside of your Berserk window, Blood Talons just need to be maintained best you can without sacrificing your DPS, so you kind of want to pull your energy quite a lot. Okay guys, so we've just done the single target rotation. Now let's move on to the AoE rotation. First of all, you're going to start off in stealth. You have your primary target, and this rotation is for up to 4 targets. So you're going to have your main target, you're going to open up with a rake, you're then going to thrash, then you're going to swipe. This should give you 5 golden points, then instantly you're going to Tiger's Fury Primal Wrath. This will then put Primal Wrath on, this will put Rip on everybody. Then you're going to tab Rake all the targets until you get 5 common points again, and then you're going to Primal Wrath again. Once you've Primal Wrath, then you're going to Convoke. This will then give you a massive mastery, which will then dynamically increase the damage of your dots, which have been pandemicked from the double Primal Wrath. Then you're looking to just spam swipe. If you can get a Blood Talons prop because you've got a decent amount of energy, then go for it. If not, it's just spam swipe until Tiger Fury comes back up again, then you get another Blood Talons empowered Primal Wrath. If you're confident, you can do a thing called Owl Weaving, which is when you go into Boomkin form and you press a Sunfire, and it will Sunfire all the targets around you. I will try and do it during the rotation. I might not be able to call it out though. So let's actually get into the rotation itself. This is without using Berserk. This is just Convoke and 4 targets on a normal AoE pack. Okay, so we're going to Rake, Thrash, Swipe, Tiger's Fury, Primal Wrath, Tab Rake, Swipe here, and Primal Wrath again, and we Convoke. And we're going to bite. So we have Rip on every target here. It's quite healthy. We don't actually need to refresh it. So we're just going to bite the targets that have a low Rip. So now they're all on the same one. We're just going to tab. We're going to tab Rake all the targets, and we're going to Primal Wrath here. I'm on 0 energy. I'm going to go into Moonkin form, Sunfire, then Tiger's Fury straight from Moonkin. It puts you into cat form. And then we're going to get an empowered, Blood Talons empowered Primal Wrath again. And make sure the Rip stays on the target as well. And as you can see at the bottom left, we are doing 9k DPS. Back into Moonkin form for another Sunfire. Back into cat form. And Rake, Swipe, Thrash, Primal Wrath, reapply Rake, keep reapplying Rake. And Swipe, we've got 5 combo points. We can bite here. We have plenty of combo points. We have Tiger's Fury as well. We can pop that Tiger's Fury. We can then Primal Wrath. We can then get our nice Blood Talons here by spamming refreshing the abilities. We have Convoke back as well. Look at that. The burst just keeps on flowing. And that is how you ideally want to handle 4 targets. You would do that with 4. So you just basically want to maintain Primal Wrath as best you can. Thrash will always be on the target because you're needing that to proc Blood Talons. Rake whenever you get a chance to. Tiger's Fury empowers your Primal Wrath alongside Blood Talons, so that you want to use them with each other at all times. You want to use Tiger's Fury with Rake, and if you go low on energy and there's nothing to do, you don't have a proc or anything, go into Moonkin form and Sunfire. It's literally a 350 dot on everybody before procs or damage amplifications or trinkets or potions or anything like that. So give it a go, have a practice with it, and yeah, get used to that. For 8 plus targets or 7 targets, the rotation pretty much swaps from trying to weave in a bite to just keeping Primal Wrath up. So if there was 8 targets, you don't Rake anymore unless Berserk's active, then you would tab Rake. If you do not have Berserk active and you're fighting 8 targets, all you're doing is you're just doing your open up initially with your Rake, Thrash, Swipe, Tiger's Fury, Primal Wrath, and then all you're doing is you're swiping. You're your Primal Wrath, swiping. If by some miracle you have 5 common points, plenty of energy, and you could easily get a bite in, take the risk, do it. But make sure that your Rip never falls off. So at this point, I have low energy. I could go into Moonkin form and I could Sunfire all 8 targets. That is a big worth to do that in Owl Weaving. But don't Rake. It's hard to maintain. The only time you should Rake is on your primary target, is if you're trying to get a Blood Talon. So right now, I would do Rake, Thrash, Swipe, and it would give me a Blood Talons, and then I have Tiger's Fury, Primal Wrath, all 8 targets. That would be the only time you use Rake, is to proc Blood Talons. Don't waste your time tab Raking it's not worth it damage wise. You're better off just to swipe the 5 targets rather than to tab break them. Hope that helps. Just very quickly on the AoE rotation, just a quick addition onto that is if you do use Heart of the Wild, pressing Heart of the Wild from cat form instantly puts you into Moonkin form. So you can time it right, you can Heart of the Wild Sunfire, which empowers your dots by 30%, into a Tiger's Fury, which puts you straight into cat form. So you have ways to instantly go into cat form. Also as well, if you want to properly min-max the AoE, if you did use Heart of the Wild and now you're in human form and you don't have Tiger's Fury active, you want to go straight into cat form, you can press dash and dash will put you straight into cat form. So those are just some nice little tips and tricks that you can use to get in and out of forms quite quickly. Okay, regarding my macros, I will pull up some of them on screen right now, and I'll go into a little bit of detail with them. So some of them are quite simple. So this is purely just a show tooltip Berserk, cast weapon. That just puts them both on the same one button rather than 2 buttons, and it's off the global cooldown. So as soon as I press it, it uses it, and I can go to do my full rotation, which is brilliant. That is the main one that I will. That is the main one that I use. We have the Convoke one. The Convoke one is just a little fun one. It uses a toy called Winning Hand, which shoots fireworks, but it also uses the Bell alongside the Convoke. When I use Bell with my Trinket, I did have it with Quantum, but because I just don't use Quantum anymore, I sometimes do still use the Bell. So that's the reason for this macro. My other specific macros are I have a Regrowth macro, which casts it at my mouseover macro. So whoever I mouse over, they get healed, or if I don't have a target, it just does it on me. I'll have a link to these macros down below if you would like to use them for yourself. I also have it for roots as well, so if I want to root a target without actually target, so say for instance I am targeting this mob here, but I want to root this one, so I am fighting this one, I'm going ham on this one here, and let's get a instant proc. Boom, I got an instant proc. I then mouse over the one on the left, I press the macro, and boom, it instantly roots that one for me. These will all be down in the description below, because I feel like they are very useful for Feral, as we have such great control, it's just people don't realise it. The next one is a mouseover for Remove Corruption, which is basically like our removes curse and poisons. There's also a one for Soothe, which I think is in my bigger list. Yeah, we have one for Soothe. Again, I'll have a link to just one of them, and then you can add on the ones you want to. I have it for Moonfire and stuff like that. I don't have it for my damage and the spells because I use the tab to do that. The only other ones I really use it for is for Cyclone, Hibernate, and Skullbash. Skullbash is a very good one to have, as it allows you to target one target, mouse over another target, and interrupt them without any worry. So yeah, all those will be in the link there in the description down below. So guys, thank you all for watching my 9.1 Feral Druid guide. Yeah, if you have learned something new or if this has been helpful, please go ahead and give this video a like, subscribe if you are new and you want to see some more Feral content, and as always guys, I'll see you in the next one.